So I want to share with you real quick how I was able to fix my hormones and heal my autoimmune disease while easily shedding 10 pounds. And this came at a time when it wasn't necessarily easy. I was definitely running on empty. My energy levels were rock bottom because I wasn't sleeping. My brain was constantly racing. I had hair falling out in clumps. The shower was getting clogged, and my acne was really embarrassing. So candidly speaking, I tried all the things, whether we're talking about those crazy elimination diets where you feel like you go to a social event and you can't even enjoy what anyone around you is eating and feeling deprived, and then trying to take 15 different supplements after going to my naturopath. But that didn't really get me very far. It maybe felt a little better for a couple months, but then slid backwards. And trying the crazy workout routines, all the things that don't work. It's about getting to a simple root cause approach that's getting to the core of bringing your body back into balance and building health. Just like it did for Amy. She was able to no longer be pre-diabetic and release 50 pounds permanently. So I want to kind of go behind the scenes and Google Doc style. I'm going to pull up a sheet here and just share with you exactly what I did to make that happen, so you can learn and see if that, inspires you in some way. Okay, so in my situation, I was just 33 years old when I was diagnosed unexpectedly with an autoimmune condition called Hashimoto's thyroiditis. And I remember I was just always exhausted and depleted, and I was really anxious, had like racing thoughts through my mind all the time. Couldn't feel like I could sit still. My hair was thinning. I had embarrassing acne that peppered my chin. Here I am, a 30-year-old, and I had all of this like embarrassing breakouts. And worst of all, my doctor warned me that my poor thyroid health could be detrimental to my fourth pregnancy. I had 3 young daughters at the time, and I was pregnant with my fourth. It was shocking to me. I remember when I had this diagnosis, I was completely dumbfounded because I thought I was taking really good care of myself. At least that's what I thought. I mean, I ate salads 5 times a week and I rarely consumed meat. I was a group fitness instructor and a sports performance trainer. So I worked with athletes literally all day long, and I had just 14% body fat. So I was thinking to myself, how in the world can I have an autoimmune disease? I was told by my doctor that I would have this for the rest of my life. And once you have one autoimmune disease, it's likely that you're going to have more in the coming years. So after my diagnosis, I started taking levothyroxine. That was the recommended medication, very common for helping to support thyroid treatment. And I was told that I would need to remain on this medication for the rest of my life because my body was attacking my thyroid. I mean, at that time, I had a slew of digestive issues contributing to maldigestion and nutrient malabsorption. My body just wasn't able to properly break down and absorb the food that I was taking in. Even though it was salads and quote unquote healthy food, I wasn't getting what I needed. I was always eating on the go in between teaching group fitness classes and running my daughters to their various activities. And my body was in this chronic fight or flight response, which was intentionally suppressing my digestion. But I had no idea about all this, and no one ever taught me this. So I had no clue that this is what was actually going on. Most days my energy was non-existent. There were days that I could barely get out of bed. And at a cellular level, I just felt like I had nothing in the tank. Like, it was almost like I needed that caffeine, that pick me up just to make it through the day. That low energy kept me from waking up with a sense of direction and enthusiasm and purpose in my life. It was hard to work and to focus and to, play and have fun with my daughters and be intimate with my husband and be patient and calm, especially raising toddlers and even my friendships. I had a difficult time enjoying my life and showing up with a sense of pride, a sense of self-respect. Most nights, my body and my mind were completely exhausted, but yet I couldn't get a good night's sleep. It's like I couldn't shut off my mind. I'd toss and turn throughout the night, and I'd wake up again, being even more depleted. My stress and my anxiety were through the roof. I had a lot of different, circumstances that were really challenging, and I just amplified that with extended family situations. And this was trickling over and affecting my immediate family too. My hormones were a mess. My cortisol levels were off. I had low progesterone and I wasn't ovulating. and elevated sex hormone binding globulin and very high thyroid antibodies. So a combination of genetics, toxic exposure, poor gut health was crippling my body's ability to rid itself of all of the bad stuff, all of the excess stress hormones, all of the toxins that I come in contact with our food and our water and different chemicals each and every day. Simply put, I was toxic. Yet I didn't know this because I didn't know what was contributing to all of these challenges in my body. And all of these things and likely other factors were what created that Hashimoto's diagnosis and dynamic to begin with. For the first couple of weeks and months after I was diagnosed, I just kept thinking, why is this happening to me? This just doesn't make sense. I didn't have this education. I didn't understand the way that the different systems in my body work. And I thought, how is this possible? Is this my fault? What have I been doing? I felt really ashamed and really guilty. And then I started to question, like, what will my life be like moving forward if I don't have the energy to do the things that are important to me? I'm snippy and impatient with my daughters and with my spouse and my husband. And, how is this going to affect just my overall sense and excitement for life in general? And let alone if I were to have additional autoimmune diagnosis, how will my life change? Am I the only person my age going through this, right? It wasn't very visible on the outside. On the outside, it looked like I could have everything together, but I was feeling really just depleted and worn down on the inside. I was upset. I was overwhelmed. I was angry, and I was scared. I had no idea where to start. I just know I wanted everything to improve. I wanted everything to be okay. But then my worst nightmare happened. Things got exponentially worse. My daughter, fast forward about 20 months, and she was at 8 years old, was stuck sitting in a hospital bed. I remember my chest felt like it was caught in a vice grip with terror because this pediatric neurologist was explaining to my husband and I why then my 8-year-old daughter needed to take anti-seizure medication for the rest of her life. She just experienced her 4th seizure in the last 12 hours. And I couldn't understand what happened to my seemingly healthy little girl. I mean, it seemed like this came out of the blue, even though now I know nothing ever comes out of the blue. It comes out of the unknown, right? I didn't understand what was happening to my daughter's body and what was happening to my body 2 years earlier than that. I felt completely helpless. In the weeks following, she experienced as many as 10, sometimes 15 seizures in a day. It was absolutely terrifying. And I remember lying in bed next to her and just shaking because I would dread when she would wake up, because usually within the first 15 minutes of her waking up and her cortisol peaking for the day, she would start to have her seizure activity. And it was just so scary. And after numerous appointments with the neurologist and all the different protocols, she was put on 4 different benzodiazepine medications. That's 12 pills a day as an 8-year-old, just to make it 24 hours without having a seizure. And the doctors, they were kind, they were empathetic, and they worked with us, and they told us like what were our treatment options, the different medications that she'd be on, but they offered no solutions as to why she was having all these seizures in the first place. It was kind of like the same thing with my Hashimoto's, how I felt when I asked my doctor, like, why did I develop Hashimoto's? Initially, I was hopeful that the doctors would have all the answers, but when they couldn't explain what was causing my daughter's seizures, or I didn't have a clear sense of what had caused my autoimmune condition, my skepticism started to really set in. And somewhere deep inside of me, I knew there had to be more to this story. There had to be a root cause, something that was kind of contributing to this. But all I had heard about were the treatment options to treat the symptoms of the seizure, treat the symptoms of, give my body hormone medication. But no one talked about a cure. Like, how could we actually unpackage this dynamic? I was unwilling to accept that she would remain on medication for life and likely never be able to drive a car because of the amount of medication. So I dug deeper. This time I had been exposed to integrative medicine through my journey of trying to work with my thyroid. And integrative medicine is a form of medical therapy that combines Western conventional medicine, things like medication, with alternative medicine. When you're combining it with like chiropractic care, homeopathy or herbalism, things like that. And working with an integrative medicine doctor, I utilize supplements, I utilize acupuncture, gluten and dairy elimination, and experienced minimal improvement in my thyroid. I did have some improvement. I was able to sleep better and my skin improved. My thyroid antibodies were still really high, and I still struggled with anxiety and thinning hair. So these small improvements that I experienced were not going to be enough for my daughter. Like, I just knew that with her health crisis, she needed more. We wanted total healing. So that's when I went back to school and I studied more than 100 different dietary theories at the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, and then went back to study functional medicine science at the School of Applied Functional Medicine. And functional medicine is an individualized, patient-centric, science-based approach to healthcare that looks beyond the symptoms. So we're not just treating the symptoms, we're actually looking at the underlying dynamics and figuring out why that illness or that imbalance has occurred. So we can address those root causes and actually restore health upstream. So we're rebuilding health at a cellular level. In both my daughter's case and in my situation, a functional medicine approach meant significantly boosting some critical nutrients that both of us were low on, supporting our body's ability to detoxify stress hormones and specific neurotransmitters that were causing anxiety, and then removing other toxins so that our hormones could communicate properly and could come into balance. And this allowed us to heal, radically change our lives. I mean, in just 9 months, my daughter went from 12 pills a day to 0 medication. Even her neurologist was like, I mean, this is unbelievable. I've never seen this type of a transformation. She has never had a seizure since. I was able to balance my hormones and massively charge up my energy to experience the type of health and vitality that I ultimately wanted for my life. And I mean, now my daughter has been seizure-free ever since. She's now a sophomore on a full ride scholarship at Notre Dame, thriving. I now run a multiple six-figure health consulting practice where I help women in over 150 cities to predictably change their health experience, to take control, understand what's happening in their body, and to feel fantastic. I want you to know that what I learned forever changed my family. Looking back, I think this was a key catalyst that happened when I had a mindset shift. Those feelings and emotions of fear and overwhelm and, just defeat evolved into determination. My mindset became, I'm going to help my daughter and myself. I'm going to take the information I learned and start making progress, put a game plan together so that I can start to see this momentum. I'm going to improve her seizures and my Hashimoto's. And when you get to the point where your mindset shifts, it's empowering, it's liberating. It allows you to view your circumstances from a different perspective. Now, listen, I want you to understand, if you are not there, if you're feeling like just defeated, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling almost like a sense of, why bother? I've tried this before. I've tried different diets. I've tried to change my exercise. I've tried different, even different medications. I've tried things before. Then I want you to know I'm familiar with those feelings. And I know how frustrating, how disheartening it can feel to be told that you have a condition that you don't really understand, or this is just the way life is once you get older, like especially for women after age 40, like this is kind of just what happens with your hormones. This is what happens with your body. And I want you to know that this mindset shift and the ability to view your circumstances from a different perspective is such an important aspect of really reclaiming your health, of transforming your hormone and changing your health trajectory. It's what leads us to move from a life of worry and fear and overwhelm to one of empowerment, joy, determination, actually pride and excitement. So if you're reading this and you have those same kind of feelings of fears, frustrations, or any of that defeat, I want you to know you're in the right place. And the information I'm going to share with you can serve as your guiding light to better health, to more energy, to hormone balance, and feeling absolutely fantastic. This is something I wish I would have understood better from the start, because there are no acute solutions to chronic conditions. I'm going to say that again. There are no acute solutions to chronic conditions like thyroid and hormone imbalance. When we talk about improving our energy and our mood and our mental clarity and our metabolism, these are chronic dynamics, right? And hormone optimization can be a slower process. We're talking weeks, months, sometimes even years, depending on how, intentional you are and how much you're really focused on what the needle movers are. So going out and doing anything drastic or making quick decisions without first researching, without first understanding thoroughly and taking a holistic approach, that won't be helpful. In fact, it could be potentially harmful because it could leave you with more sense of defeat, and it will never work for me in the long run. When I was first starting this journey, I would have given anything for the right answers, a magic bullet to fix my health and my thyroid. But there is no magic bullet. They don't exist. Progress requires a game plan. And that's why I'm going to share with you. For me, it took a lot of work and reading and research and investing in programs, going back to school. I literally invested over 6 figures, working with the right people, making positive diet and lifestyle changes. And that's what led me to being able to completely turn around my health, my family's health, and now go on to help hundreds of women across the country to reclaim and take control of their health in an inspiring way too. So as you're embarking on your own journey to better hormone health, to better vitality, then I would encourage you to keep these 6 things in the top of your mind. They're helpful. First, number 1, make a commitment to yourself to be your own health advocate. No one will care about your health more than you do. And you get to be the one in the driver's seat. You get to be the one who's prioritizing it, who's understanding it, and who's really advocating for yourself. Number 2, work with people who understand, who have been in your shoes. I know sometimes we can have the best, trained medical specialists and they can tell us what to do, but having somebody tell you what to do when they've never actually experienced themselves is not nearly as powerful as having somebody who's like, listen, I've been in your shoes and this is exactly how I navigated through a challenge. This is how I made these nutrients and different way of eating or thinking about my stress levels fit with my busy lifestyle, right? Number 3, be open to trial and error with new foods and new lifestyle practices or exercises. You may come to find that you enjoy them tremendously and they actually add so much fulfillment and so much benefit to your life. Number 4, our bodies are all unique and you will respond to different foods, different supplements, different exercises differently. So know that your body is different than mine, and that's why you get to be your own explorer. And what happens, what's right for the next person may not always work the same way for you. So we take a bio-individual approach to know what's going to work in your body, in your life. Number 5 is to be patient and avoid comparing yourself to the success and failures of others. Their bodies, their hormones are different than yours. And when you are on your own path, that is going to help bring clarity and simplification your way. And number 6, don't give up when things don't go right the first time, because that will inevitably happen. Just continue the path. Know that this is a new way of being, a new way of living for the rest of your life. This is not, hey, I'm doing a crash course diet for the next 10 weeks and then going back to, living life the way I have been, what's causing the certain imbalance where I'm at now. This is about continuing the journey, finding a way that it's enjoyable, sustainable, and permanent for you. So your body and your hormones can get better. I want this for you. I know it's possible for you. And it's my goal to help you achieve the level of energy, vitality, and health and happiness that you ultimately desire. You can do this. I'm cheering you on, and I will be there for you each step of the way.